With the 80s having many timeless action films, it makes a great source of inspiration for current games and movies today. I also like when a new creator wants to make their own entry into one of these franchises, but I do think it's important to do so while also respecting the original property. I saw this with Terminator Resistance. This was a first-person shooter set in the Terminator universe and acted like a new third entry for Terminator 1 and 2. The gameplay combined elements of Far Cry and Fallout to create an engaging and fun first-person shooter. The developers successfully captured the atmosphere of the Terminator movies. The story was pretty good as well, as it created a fun new storyline set during the war along with paying respect to the first two films. This was a game that was made by the fans, for the fans. With this fun game, it got me thinking about what other 80s properties I would love to see get the game treatment. I think Commando would make for a good third-person action game with its great one-liners, outstanding action, and fun over-the-top nature. This type of stuff would be perfect to see in a video game. Another 80s film that would make for a fun video game is The Predator. The concept of having a group of soldiers being hunted down by a smart and strong foe makes for an interesting setting. The developers of the Friday 13th game hope to take what made Predator special and incorporate that into a fun multiplayer experience. After spending time with their Predator hunting grounds, I found many flaws within this game, but it was also very fun. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you my review for Predator Hunting Grounds. Predator Hunting Grounds is a multiplayer game that puts you in the shoes of either a soldier or the predator. When you start a match as a soldier, you and 3 other people are dropped into a map and are given a set amount of time to complete your objectives. The game throws a few different objectives at the player. You will need to kill a certain group of enemies, destroy objects, collect items, along with protecting certain positions for a period of time. As a soldier, you will face off against enemy soldiers that will try to take you out. There's some variety to them, and they can be dangerous in large groups, but overall the AI is mostly there so you have something to always shoot at. While completing your objectives, you will find chests that can provide you with different items along with currency that you can use outside of the matches. As the soldier, you will have a decent variety of weapons as well. The weapons can be fun to fire, as the shotgun will cause some enemies to comically blow back, or some shots will cause some dismemberment. The shooting is decent, but it isn't as smooth or responsive as I wished it was. The game does a pretty good job of making you feel like a well-trained soldier as you take on the AI, but just like the movie, this takes a turn once the Predator finds your location. The player-controlled Predator can throw a wrench in your whole team's plan. A smart player can take out the entire team of soldiers and end the match pretty quickly. The dance between the Predator and the soldiers is what keeps the action engaging. It is important too that once someone shows up as the Predator that you do not forget about the AI soldiers, as they will start to do a lot of damage to you if you don't pay attention to them. The Predator can detect you through your body heat and through sound, so you can cover yourself up in mud to mask your heat signature for a bit, and once you unlock the silencers for your guns, this helps as well. It is important to note that I highly recommend playing the game with a mic or with a team of people that you know. Communication is key when you're playing as the soldiers. A group of soldiers can take down most threats and stand a good chance against the Predator, but once you start dividing your forces, you will not stand a chance against him. A nice addition is how you can mark locations to let other team members know that you spotted the Predator. The soldiers play like you would expect, like a decent first-person shooter. The unique aspect of the gameplay comes from playing as the Predator. The Predator is played from a third-person perspective, and playing as him is a blast. You can move really fast and you can climb trees and use them as a great way to move around and surprise your enemies. You get a nice variety of gadgets to use like your heat vision, cloak, and many different weapons. As the soldiers, you have several objectives that you need to complete to finish the map, but as the Predator, your objectives are more simple. It's just take down the enemy players, but there's a lot of openness in how you tackle this. Once you find the other team, it all comes down to observing them and deciding when the best time is to attack. It's really satisfying to stalk the other team and figure out the best time to strike. When you do get into combat with them, it will not take long for you to take one of them out, but you need to keep in mind that facing all four of them at once can be really dangerous. It will be up to you if you want to take them all on or try to pick them off one by one. A lot of the fun with the Predator comes from the mind games that you can play with the other players. You can try and kill one soldier while he is alone and use him as bait to get the rest of the team. Overall, I think the developers did a good job of capturing the magic from the film by incorporating many elements from it. As you play as the soldier or the Predator, you will earn experience points for new unlocks along with currency for new cosmetics. You are rewarded for every action you do. The fun factor is pretty high with this game, especially if you're a fan of the movie. There are a good amount of flaws present within the game, along with some potential suggestions for improvement that I want to cover. The big thing you've probably noticed through this review is the inconsistent frame rate. The game looks pretty good, but it does not run as smooth as it should. I can normally tolerate inconsistent frame rates in a single player game, but in multiplayer it can really hurt the experience as I can miss a shot or not react fast enough because of those dips. I think this is partially why I found the shooting to not be as smooth as I felt it should be. I'm not a game developer, but if the developers could reduce the graphics to improve the frame rate, I would prefer performance over having something that looks good. It should be noted too that I played on the base PS4. I do think there's some balancing issues with some of the higher end Predator weapons that can be really devastating to the team, and how soldiers can use silencers after they unlock them. At least with the use of the mud eventually goes away and you need to reapply it. I feel like the silencers should break after a certain amount of shots. This way the player gets the advantage of masking their shots, but it doesn't last the entire match. Another issue I ran into was the long matchmaking time for when you wanted to play as the Predator. It can take over 5 minutes to get into the match as the Predator. On the flip side, getting into a match as a soldier takes less than a minute. The game comes with a few decently sized maps, but I do think there's some missed opportunities with these maps. The maps are only set during the daylight and none of them take place at night. I think having a night variation of each of the maps would have completely changed the environment and furthered the horror side of the Predator. There could have been maps that start with daylight and then transition to night throughout the match. While the matches are fun, I do think more mode variety would have helped. Maybe a mode where the soldiers needed to rescue and evacuate a VIP. I would have liked to see some sort of PvE co-op to provide additional value, like maybe a version of the multiplayer that you can play with friends and fight AI-controlled predators. Another thing to note is that I wish there were objectives that would divide up the soldier team while in the matches. Most of the objectives are ones that need to be completed one after another, but it would be great if you had two objectives that needed to be completed at the same time, forcing the soldiers to split up and causing more tension for them, along with providing the Predator an opportunity to not attack the full team. There is an overall jankiness to the game, but like I said, there's a lot of fun to be had with this title. Predator Hunting Grounds is a flawed yet very fun game. The game both respects the movie and captures a lot of magic from it. The Predator soldier action is where the game is at its strongest. Trying to survive as a soldier is engaging, and stalking the soldiers is fun as the Predator. A lot of the flaws with this game consist of the general polish to it. I think after some updates, the game will be in a better state. While the game does go for $40, I do think that this is one that you should wait for it to be a bit less before diving in. But either way, give this game a try, especially if you're a Predator fan. Thank you very much for watching.